Well, good morning and welcome to our Class Intercom webinar series. My name is Becky Voss and our other host today is Taylor Siebert, one of our founders. Hi, Taylor.
Hey, Becky, how's it going?
Going good, thanks.
Good.
In this webinar series, we are excited to share with you how some of our partner schools are utilizing the Class Intercom platform to engage their students in their school's story. So I would like to introduce Cameron Hudson, principal at High Plains High School in Nebraska. Hi, Cameron.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you. I know you have a few things in mind that you'd like to share with us, so I'm happy to hand it over to you.
Well, awesome. I just, first off, that's an awesome picture you've got up there today. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, with one of the things that we've really tried to do at our school is promote ourselves and some of the great things we're doing. We're a school of 3 different communities, and so it's sometimes communication is one of the missing pieces when you have as many communities as we do. And we like to think of ourselves as a public relations firm, along with being in the business of education. And so what we've found is, as we started to use Class Intercom, it has done 2 things for us. The most important thing is it has allowed us to have a student voice in our social media and telling our story, and to be able to do that in a way that gives students freedom, lets them share their voice, but at the same time also still allows the school to have a sense of control that is not burdening on the students. And the other thing is Class Intercom is a great time saver for myself as an administrator or any teachers or students, because we can push out social media things on multiple accounts at one time with basically one click of a button. So we've seen the benefits in our school since we started using Class Intercom. We think that it's obviously well built, and it's designed towards students and teachers and administrators in a school. Makes it something that we've promoted with our teachers, and we're seeing a great response with our teachers and our students as well.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about the platform and exactly how it works. Taylor, I'm going to throw the screen over to you. And I think you've got a demo that you're going to help us with to understand a little bit more. And then we'll jump into actually taking a look at Cameron's account and see how they're actually utilizing the functionality of the platform. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Very cool. So we wanted to kind of show you what Class Intercom actually is and how it functions for your school. So the first thing is we actually connect to your existing school's social media accounts. So we're not creating a new social network that you have to get followers to go to that page or anything. So we're taking your existing Twitter, Facebook, or if you have Instagram, and connecting those profiles, and then be able to send out messages. And so I'll go through here. You guys can see my screen. The first thing you see here is our default screen. So you'll see drafts pending, approved, and published. And I'm going to take you through the compose window and how you actually send a message out, and then the process and how easy it is to just hit approve or deny. And so if you can imagine, we've got some different content here that maybe some students have gone through and pending, and I can push those over to approved here in just a second. So I'll go up to compose, and we've got our compose window here. And the first thing I'm going to do is select the channels that I want to push out to. And so for this demo, I'm just going to go to the Bayside High Twitter account, and I can start typing. And I've got a message queued up already here. Excited to start the school year. I'd like to put my school hashtag in there, and you'll notice we have a character count. So for Twitter, we're limited to 140 characters. So we bring that in. We can also do some tagging, which is a new feature. So you could tag a different account or a team account or something like that, which is great. And you'll notice here you have an assign to. So from a student's perspective, you can actually assign a post to a teacher or a group of teachers or moderators. And so for this instance, I could assign this to Becky, and she would receive an email notification, and I would ask her for approval or denial of this post. I can come down here and I can also do some labeling, which is fantastic. So I could label this as school spirit. This is internal only. And so I could go back later and look at a month's worth of content and see how many athletic posts I posted, or if you wanted to even break it down by sport or by clubs or activities. So, and Cameron's going to get into that and how he's launching it at High Plains. And so you can tag those internally and build some reports and improve on your social media content and communicate better as a district through social media.
So
You
Taylor,
can also bring it, yeah, go ahead.
sounds like you're doing a couple of things here. With these labels, this is actually helping us to be able to query the archival of all of this content. So you're actually storing the content that we're creating as schools on social, is that right?
That's right, and inside of Class Intercom. So I could build some reports that you could take to your Board of Education to show them from a class perspective. So we have some different classes here. This is really powerful. So as a class, you could really teach students the analytics side of social media, which is a career now in data analytics, and showing kids, okay, we got great engagement on this post, and it was, you know, a school spirit post as opposed to the athletic post where we just put the score up. Maybe we should add photos next time to the score updates to provide some more engagement, and you can look at all of that at a later time and analyze some of that data through labeling.
Taylor, tell us a little bit about how this post might appear on that social channel. Does it have a tag like some providers leave on there, powered by whatever that content management system is? Or does this appear as a native post?
Yes, great question. So everything is posted natively. So we're not like if this then that, which is what a lot of schools use, or a Facebook link on Twitter or a Twitter link on Facebook. That's one of my pet peeves, is when I see a school doing that. And so it looks like it was actually posted from Facebook or Twitter. And so one of the great features Cameron will get in as well is we could add the school's Facebook and Twitter. So now this is helping your school save some time by not having to go to each platform and post that, or using some connected service, and it's just not authentic. And so I can select both of those now. I can add a photo, which is always great. I could also leave some notes on this and say, you know, Becky, what do you think of this? And I can hit save, and all of that is archived inside this message. And so I can go ahead and hit submit on this post, and I could also schedule this out in advance. Hopefully my internet, there we go. So now I see the post here. Becky would get a email notification. She'd come in the app, and this is what her screen would look like if maybe messed up on that.
So when this post actually goes out to that
Sorry
social
about that.
channel, all we're going to see is the text and perhaps the image, if there's one attached, the labels, and all the internal note documentation. That all, of course, stays within the application. It's helpful for us for archiving and query tools, but it's not ever going to be seen on the social media side on that Twitter or Facebook account. Is that right?
Correct. That is correct. Yep, all internal on this. All they're seeing is this copy up here going to their Twitter and Facebook. And so then from your end, I kind of messed up there a little bit, but I had reassigned it to myself, and all I'd have to do is go over here and hit approve. And based on the time that we put it out, so it's going to go out right now, that would show up as approved, and then it would publish automatically at that exact time. So great, really easy, simplified way of doing things for your social. And so maybe we can, unless there's any questions, we can go over to a live account of Cameron's account and kind of see how they're using it, and kind of look at their dashboard and then their calendar view, which is a great view to just kind of see everything going on at the school's social media. Does that sound okay?
Let's take a look.
All right, better log in first, and we'll go to High Plains here. And Cameron, I'll let you kind of start talking a little bit about your account and that, all the different people that you have kind of integrated into this so far.
Well, looking at our account, the main thing is that we are pretty fluid in what we see in a pending column or a draft column. We have multiple administrators that our goal is to get things approved and published as quickly as possible. So the way we've set up our school is that our superintendent, the two principals, and then we have, I believe, 3 teachers right now who are moderators, who are also approving the posts that come through. The draft itself was something that was I did that this morning, and it was just looking at, okay, I'm going to start something. Maybe I didn't finish it. Maybe it hasn't happened. The event hasn't happened yet. I can't get a picture, but I want to get a picture attached to it. And so I can save that for later. A pending post is sitting there waiting to be approved. And when that happens, basically I will get an email, our soup will get an email, and it's just saying you've got new content. The best part about this now is that we get access to that post before we ever send it out to our Facebook and our Twitter accounts, our school ones. So we can approve it, we can deny it, or we can edit it. And when we do that, a lot of times if it's a student or a teacher that's done that, we can add notes to it or reply back to them saying, this is why it was approved, this is why it was denied. And like, for example, up there where it says #HPCstorm.org, we could edit that and get that, there you go, off of there before we send that out. So the beauty of that is we're not telling our students what content to necessarily put out there specifically. We still get final approval rights before anything goes on our official accounts. And that is a huge piece. I mean, I've done the, hey, you're the student who's going to run the Twitter account for today. Here's the password. And then you kind of want to follow them around all day to make sure that things that go out there are what you want. So, you know, that final piece of approval, and we've had some good conversations with some of our students already about, this is great stuff, but could you expand a little bit more? You're looking at one now that was published yesterday from one of our seniors there. It was some artwork that she went around and saw it on the wall, took pictures of it, and she tagged herself in there that it was Maddie who did this, and she's a senior. So that was just okay. That's awesome. That is content now that our people are seeing, our patrons are seeing, that I or a teacher necessarily doesn't have to go out and do. And so we're super excited about that, because the more we can put out about the great things that we're doing at our school, the better, you know. And so you're looking at our calendar. This is for this week, which we've had a busy week with lots of things going on. We're in our second week of school. That was last week. What I like about it is the number of different types of things that you see up there. On Sunday, that was a foreign exchange student picture that was taken by a student who was able to post that on our social media account after it was approved. We wouldn't have had that picture up or that information up if not for that student. So right there, that is a huge win for us.
Absolutely. Let's, I want to go dive in. You mentioned the different roles. And so I've got a PDF here that I would like to show. We've kind of explained the roles a little bit. So we have 4 different roles that you can set up in Class Intercom. And so what we consider the contributor is our student level 1. And all those students can do is create and edit drafts. That's all they can do. So they could work on those drafts as a team of different students if they want to, if you integrate this in a class. And then you move up to student level 2, which is a writer role. And they can actually create and edit drafts, and then they can also submit them to a teacher for approval or denial. And then you move to the moderator, which is what, as any staff member or teacher, they can create, edit, and they can actually approve posts that get published out. And then the admin role, which would be Cameron, he can do all of those things, and then he can also add new users and his social channels. And so some of the ways, Cameron, do you want to talk about some of the different types of students you're kind of targeting for this as you launch this school year, and then teachers as well?
Well, one of the things that we did right away was, as part of our back to school meetings with our staff, Class Intercom was one of the key points that we talked about. And just the fact of an introduction to new teachers or teachers that didn't use it last year, but also B, the fact that this is something that you can utilize and your students can utilize with a very little interruption to anything that you're doing. So in our moderator roles, we have obviously our classroom teachers and our school administrators and our football coaches are using it. Softball is, volleyball, and basically they are comfortable. It's anybody who is comfortable with approving something. And that's the big thing for me is I've talked to them and said, okay, you can be a writer, you can contribute, or you can actually say, you know what, I want to moderate or I want to approve. And then we've been working with the students who, when they do post something, they can assign it to which moderator they would like it to go to. So, for example, our digital media and our journalism classes are using the class intercom on their phones as they're out and about. And what they're doing now is just specifically assigning it to the teacher who may have said, this is something specific that we maybe need to look at doing. And so at that point, I'm totally comfortable with classroom teachers approving the posts of our students. Not everybody wants to. As a school, the administrator, we're looking at this daily, and as our phones buzz and our email fills up with new notifications, we don't really sit there and have a great conversation with who should approve what. We just look at it and say, this is something that's great, let's get it out there. And it doesn't take more than 15 seconds to do that most of the time. So, and once we do that, it goes right out to our Twitter feed on our webpage, everybody's Facebook page that follows us. And I've had multiple patrons just in the last week and a half say that they love the stuff that's coming out of the school this year. And that is because it's not coming just specifically from administration. And these are the things that we find time to put out there. It's coming from staff and it's coming from students. And they almost to a point of, I think they're probably going to say at some point, if we have a few slow days, of why aren't we getting updates about what's going on at school?
School must be closed. School must be closed or something, right?
Right.
I bet you'd get some pretty good pictures from a snow day though too.
Yeah, and those would be ones we'd have to take a real good look at, but that's okay.
Exactly. Now, you both have mentioned mobile devices, both
Yes.
for approvals and for kids uploading content. Taylor, share with us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the mobile app, and I'll turn it over to Cameron here in a little bit as well, because that was one of the things he kept telling us in the spring is, when's the app coming? When's the app coming? Because when I first went in and started training his students, they actually didn't know what to write. And so we actually created a document here called Story Starters, which was branded and created by Cameron. And so they really took a hold of this once the app came along. The app is exactly like you see here on your desktop version. It's just condensed into a mobile view. And so Cameron, talk about your students and kind of the two students, Kara, I think, and then another student, and maybe even the learning side of things, some of the ownership and leadership skills that they're showing by using this, and then the mobile side of things. What's the percentage of you using Class Intercom on your iPhone app as opposed to your laptop? Because I know you're up and about, walking around the school and doing lots of different things. Touch on that a bit.
Well, specifically from high school students, one of the learning points that we've had to make is to them is, do you want credit for this or not? And so some of the things that you see are done by students, but they either have not identified themselves as a student or they didn't want to, and we're okay with that. The other thing was, as a high school student, they're going to want to put this on their phones, and that's why the app was huge for us, because a majority of the things that we want our students to share are maybe not things that they're always just sitting in front of their laptop looking at or doing. When we went into the first class, it was our digital media class, and this is a group of students who are pretty proactive with technology, and they do a television show. They're out in front of the camera. They're not afraid to put themselves out there a little bit. One of the first things that happened was when we said, all right, we want you to share something about school or something, pertaining to school. They kind of did. They looked at us that first time and like what? And I'm like, oh, come on, you guys do stuff all the time. You talk about stuff all the time. You promote our school through a TV show. Now I want you to do it in 140 characters. And struggled with that. So this is where we started to develop the story starters that we could kickstart. These are some things that maybe you could look at doing. And that changed their perspective very quickly on what we were looking for. And then the beauty of this is when I showed this to our journalism instructor, she had a completely different perspective on story starters that she could work with her journalism students. And so she's developing kind of a set that she wants to use with that class when they are using class intercom or could be out, maybe they're attending an activity. And some of the things that she's like, these are the things that you might want to mention or talk about when you're out at that activity. And then the bottom part there with the checklist, was just that allows you to have a better opportunity to have something approved or to not have it sent back to you to be edited again. And so I actually, this was in the teachers' back to school handout, their packet that they got as we talked about class intercom, and then they have distributed that to students. But the main thing is we're not limited. We've got 5th graders and 4th graders using class intercom. They're using their computers in their classroom, and they're just very basic. Just they're not attaching pictures to anything. They are basically just stating something that happened at school that day, and that's cool because they love seeing their post pop up on our Twitter feed, and it's just starting that process of making this part of our culture as they come through our school system. So organizations, sports teams, that's easy stuff to do. The big thing that our coaches love, our teachers love, is the fact that they get to save time. Many of them say, I want to post stuff all the time, but I don't have time to do multiple accounts, the same thing. And we're like, well, with this, you can simply go in and you can hit our Twitter, you can hit our Facebook, and then if you still want to do something on, say, your personal account, you can, but we're saving you time, which in return, they're like, well, that helps a lot. It's a lot easier to post stuff now, and I'll do more.
Fantastic. Before we kind of wrap things up, Becky, I just wanted to show kind of the back end and how they've set up. So in the settings and how easy it is to add users. So you can see all the users that they've added, and you can see the students labeled as writers. Jessica Hatfield is moderator and admin. That's the digital media teacher. Do you want to touch on a little bit on that process and how easy it is just to kind of basically set up your account?
It's very easy. Basically, if as right now, as teachers are letting me know which students they would want, or a student is coming to me, I'm simply putting in their school email account, first name, last name. They will get an email then basically giving them access to our class intercom site where they'll set up their password. And then what I do is I just simply, after they've been added, I choose what level I want them to be at, and you can choose multiple ones. So for us right now, students are writing. They are the ones that are just adding the content. If you see a teacher on there, some of them are moderators, and then a little bit higher up would be someone who's an admin, which as I'm looking at some of these kids' names, the teachers are the admins, and they have actually added those students as well. So I had a goal. Yeah, I had a goal this year. We have 70 students in high school, and I think I've told Jude I want to have 30 students. And looking at that list, I think I'm well over 20 right now, and we're only into week 2. As we build, right. I'm going to get that goal, and then it's now a matter of continuing to give the kids opportunities and reasons and the want to, praising the fact that, like yesterday, I gave a shout out on Twitter to our seniors who went around and posted, and I just was like, that was on my own personal deal. Just, right. Hey, shout out to our seniors for using class intercom to help promote the great things that are happening at High Plains community. And if they see that, then obviously they're like, that's cool to be noticed. And so that, yeah, it's, like I said, we're off and running. I'm very excited about where we're headed. I've heard nothing but great things from patrons. Our superintendent is our biggest user, and
Mm-hmm.
you get that guy on board, then obviously the rest is going to fall into place too.
Cameron, you're talking a little bit about the responses that you've had from folks. Tell us a little bit about how Class Intercom has helped to impact your culture in your school with regard to, the involvement of these kids and how plugged in they feel, and then a little bit about how your families and your communities have responded.
Well, one of the important things to remember is that when looking at our student body, probably very similar to a lot of schools, we obviously have kids who are out there all the time. They are seen in the public. They are, they have a big impact on our school through the activities that they're in. But we also have a large population of our students who are in activities or doing great things that maybe don't get noticed or recognized as often. And one of the challenges that I wanted to pursue is to have every student have the opportunity to share their voice, and through social media. For example, the graphic design student who maybe doesn't participate in athletics, but is just pumping out this awesome stuff off of their laptop. Well, now give them an opportunity to basically have their own self-promotion, or of someone sitting next to them saying, this is great stuff that we're doing in graphic design. We love coming to this class. To me, that is a piece that will allow a student to continue to blossom and grow and say, it doesn't have to be just the football score that goes up. It can be, like, for example, the solar eclipse drawings. Those pictures would hang in our building, and that was put up by a student who now has shared our story. That that may not have happened if she hadn't have done that. So, and then as far as feedback, like I mentioned, people in our communities and every community across the state, the heartbeat of the community is the school. And so when the school is at the forefront of things, it's a great thing for everybody. And as people start to understand, as people talk to me and say, man, you guys are putting a lot of stuff out, my first response is, yeah, it's awesome. And it's everybody across the board. It's students, it's teachers, it's the superintendent, it's myself. That's the great thing, is a lot of what you're seeing is, it's new to me too when I see it. It's great, isn't it? I couldn't believe they did that, but that's great stuff for our school.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, let me wrap up here by putting some more information about Class Intercom. So here's contact information for Taylor and myself. Taylor, of course, is one of our founders. He loves to build these relationships with educators and with schools, and really, dig in and help schools understand and really utilize the platform to its core. I'm Becky Voss. I can help answer questions about how to learn more about the platform in order to get pricing, those types of questions. I'm your contact there. Thank you all very much for joining us today. Taylor and Cameron, thank you both so much for your time. And we look forward to working with you and your school, your students, and your community to help get the student's voice involved in the school story. So thanks again, everyone, for your time today, and we look forward to chatting soon.